All right, I think we're ready to get started. Hello and welcome to the 2023 State of Remote Work webinar hosted by NetBees. Thank you for attending, and just a few ground rules. There will be a Q&A at the end of the webinar, followed by our raffle for the Amazon gift card. So if you would like a chance at that, please stay on for the whole webinar. It should be short, 15 to 20 minutes. And I think we're ready to get started. If you have any other questions, feel free to also use the chat function if you don't want to use the Q&A. Okay, so through the research that we conducted for our State of Remote Work survey, we aim to identify the factors that contribute to the success or challenges of remote, hybrid, and in-person in the office work, and to provide insights for companies and employees looking to implement or improve their remote work policies. With that, I can introduce myself and my co-host here. So Stefano and I will be hosting this webinar. I'm part of the marketing team, and Stefano is our CEO and co-founder. He'll be going over the technical parts of the webinar, and I will be giving you an overview of our survey that we conducted. Okay, so for the demographics of the survey that we conducted, as you can see here, 48% were engineers. Also, thank you to everyone who did take our survey if you're in attendance. It was really great to have over 100 participants, and it gave us a lot of insight into hybrid, remote, and in the office work and how people are managing their networks. The majority of respondents were engineers, followed by managers and directors. In terms of functional role, the largest group was in technology, followed by engineering and then operations. And the companies represented in this survey ranged in size from small, being 0 to 250, to large, which we consider over 10,000 employees. And the largest group being companies with 1,000 to 5,000 employees. It's the biggest chunk of participants. All right. So one of our questions was, what is your policy currently, remote, hybrid, or fully in the office? Which almost 75% said that they have a hybrid policy. Another question from the survey, we asked these companies what if they plan to change their current setup, and a significant portion of companies have plans to move into a hybrid work model, while only a small number are considering still moving to fully remote or moving to a full return to office, which isn't super surprising considering we're this deep into post-COVID, and we've been doing this for a couple of years at this point. But that is the majority of our research from a non-technical standpoint. And now I can turn it over to Stefano for the rest of the webinar.
Thank you, Jess, and hi, everyone. I'm excited to be presenting the second part of this webinar on the technical findings of our State of Remote Work 2023. So let's kick it off. And yeah, so before talking about the stats that you see here, pretty busy slide, the first question that we asked to our respondents was, since the start of the pandemic, did you see an increase, decrease, or same level of tickets in terms of support requests from remote employees? 40% of them, they said the same levels of tickets. 4% said a reduction in support requests, which was surprising, but the majority, 57%, brought up that, of course, they saw an increase in support requests. So definitely this is something not surprising, as when users are, of course, off-premise, there are more things that can go wrong, as we'll see in this slide. And, you know, you're not in the managed control environment of your enterprise. So definitely not surprising. The other two questions that we asked, and was results you see in this slide, were about what are the most common complaints from remote employees. So we wanted to understand what is the user perception when things go wrong, what they think it is, right? And of course, 41% replied the VPN is the primary complaint of remote employees, followed by the application, the internet, and then slightly Wi-Fi and / the computer. Then we ask at the same time, what are the root causes of most remote employees complaint? And as you can see here, these kind of 4 root causes are more kind of equally distributed between the internet, Wi-Fi, application, or VPN. And this is like in line with what we found out in 2021, right after the start of the pandemic, as 4 of the top 5 root causes for remote work. So definitely in line. Yeah, the 5th actually was what you see here is the gateway or the consumer grade hardware, the router and the Wi-Fi that you have at home. Those generally, as you know, tend to be like consumer grade devices. They're not very solid. Maybe they're also old, located in a bad location of your house. So that was the 5th of the root causes. So it's nice to see also in this report, we can got to the same conclusion as in 2021. And it's also nice to see, like, as a company, NetBees like provides visibility into all these root causes for remote work experience.
Definitely. I was a little bit surprised at the most common complaints by remote employees, because I think it says on the back of both of the shirts that we're wearing, it's not the network. Yeah. So I thought that it would be way more Wi-Fi complaints.
Yeah, exactly. I was thinking the same, and it looks like if they can pinpoint to something that is still kind of something that the enterprise manages, the VPN is only left, because the rest is like their own responsibility as a third party. So that was interesting. And it's also interesting to see that actually oftentimes is not the network or the VPN in this case, still is a major, right, 20% response root cause, but the internet sometimes, the Wi-Fi also are equally responsible. So nevertheless, it's always good to have visibility into these environments. Good. So the next question that we ask is about digital experience monitoring, right? Clearly, digital experience monitoring is the solution to minimize the disruption of support tickets, support requests from your remote employees. And the first question that we ask, I don't have a stat here, a chart, but is that if they were willing, if they had digital experience monitor deployed or in plan to deploy. About 40% they said that they already have digital experience monitoring implemented, and about 30% they had planned in the near future to adopt digital experience monitoring, and only the rest said that they have no plans. But nevertheless, it's good to see that although it's not the majority of people, yet there is a plan in the next quarter or time period to really deploy digital experience monitoring in assistance to these sort of problems. And along with that, we ask, okay, how do your remote users connect, right? We wanted to see, like, is the VPN the leading remote connectivity option for remote users, or there is also SASE lately been often marketed as an alternative to VPNs that provide a more comprehensive type of access, remote connectivity, and also policy enforcement. So it was astonishing actually to see 83% of the respondents are still relying on VPN, which are well-established remote access technology to support remote work. SASE only got less than 3%, and then there was in aggregate between remote access points and hardware gateways, right, less than still 10%. So it's really nice to see that the software option versus the hardware or SASE is still the leading remote connectivity to provide access to an enterprise network. And in fact, we see actually 41%, then they believe that that's the root cause of issues. After the VPN, another question that we asked was more now on digital experience monitoring, which there is in plan to, of course, to implement, or they've implemented by 40%. Is a good solution to provide visibility and also ease support requests from remote users. And we wanted to understand what are the benefits, the achieved benefits or perceived benefits for those that will implement of digital experience monitoring. And we can see that the two main responses that we got from our respondents was simplified troubleshooting, clearly, by having actual data versus the employee perception that it's all about the VPN. Actually, troubleshooting these remote work issues are much simpler. And then reduce troubleshooting time. So save real time, right, in your operation, because nobody likes to provide tech support. And now, if you have so many remote users now slamming, opening tickets to understand what's going wrong with them, why their application is low, you really want to make sure that all this increase of support requests are not really consuming your team's time and your operation are more efficient. So definitely those were the two primary benefits of digital experience monitoring. And then, of course, also followed by almost 12% reduced ticket escalation to higher support levels. That's something also we notice at NetBees, is that oftentimes the problem with the tech support tickets is that the level 1, level 2 doesn't have perhaps the data or the expertise to troubleshoot these issues. So they're escalated to level 2, level 3, which of course, so those are like a very how do you say, pressure resources within the IT team that generally are more assigned to do network design and implementation, and you don't want to disrupt too much level 3 generally with the troubleshooting remote work experience. So really, digital experience monitoring is a good solution also to make your team more efficient and be able to troubleshoot at an L1, L2 perspective these problems that otherwise would have to be escalated.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot of good insight. And I feel like kind of gives us purpose as to why we do what we do. So it's always nice to see that we are helping people and that's the benefit they want. And it's a benefit that we can also supply them with.
Definitely was a very good validation. I agree.
Yes. I think that's all of the data that we are going to go over during the webinar.